All right, Scott. So we are back. If you're watching the video, we're in a bit of a different location. We're in the inner sanctum, Scott's office here.
The Holy of Holies.
That's right. The Holy of Holies. We are set up in our normal filming location to do some special videos for our Easter service coming up. So that's why we're not in our usual location today. But you get a special glimpse inside, Pastor Scott's office and why he is so wise. All these. You've read every single one of these books, right?
Of course.
Yeah. That's one thing I realized quickly with seminary is, I may not be very smart, but I'm going to look very smart with all these books they're giving me to put on my bookshelf. By the time I'm done. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to be with you again today, Scott. And we did it this past Sunday. We made it to the last verses of Revelation.
We sure did.
Yeah.
We sure did. It was, I think this was the 42nd sermon that I've preached. Mm-hmm. On the series, so 42 sermons.
Wow. So I know when you started this series many weeks ago, about over a year ago, I guess at this point, maybe around a year ago, you had said that you'd never preached through Revelation before. Right. So now having preached through Revelation, any big takeaways, anything you learned? What was that experience like for you actually preaching through the book of Revelation?
Yeah, no, it was very good for me personally. Mm-hmm. To do an in-depth study of the book, take it passage by passage, verse by verse, and really see the whole thing in its context. Of course, I've read through the book like many of you have, just in my Bible readings. And it's always, you just kind of walk away from a initial reading like, wow, that's strange, or that's different or weird or whatever.
Yeah.
But, when you kind of put it all together, it starts making more sense. Mm-hmm. And to me, I learned a lot. So I'm glad I did it. I hope our people, feel like it was a worthy, long study to go deep.
Yeah. I bet they definitely feel like it was a long study.
It's interesting, the feedback I get. Of course, I don't hear all the feedback. Probably some of it I don't want to hear. But it's, it's a lot of people just loved it. Mm. They loved going deep. They loved Revelation. And others were just ready to get
ready to be done.
To the next study, the next opportunity. So
were there any particular sections or passages that you especially enjoyed getting to preach and teach? And I guess a follow-up to that, were there any that you found particularly challenging to preach and teach on?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll share some of that this week there's actually there is this victory lap. We're gonna have one more sermon on Revelation. It's really just kind of my personal reflections on my favorite passages. Yeah. And some of the things that the Lord taught me. Because I think the big themes are so important and they're pretty clear. Yeah. A lot of the details may be debatable, and do we take it literally? Do we take it symbolically? All those things that come with apocalyptic literature. But the big stuff, if you really zoom out and you look at the forest, you see some really important themes. And so those were all really, the sovereignty of God, the worship. I love the worship scenes in heaven. That was spectacular. And we have a lot of exciting worship ahead of us. That's not going to be boring. And it'll never get old. And it'll just always just be phenomenal experiences. I loved what we've just gone through, the new heaven, the new earth, the new Jerusalem, the new temple, the new garden. It's amazing. Yeah. I love how you see such a connection from the beginning of the Bible. We begin in the Garden of Eden, and then we end in the Garden of Eden, and it's truly a providential ending to not just Revelation, but the entire story of the Bible. Yeah, how it takes us full circle. So, lots of wonderful things. We see a kind of a different Jesus in Revelation. He's really, this warrior king who is both the Lamb of God, but also, the judge of the world and the judge of heaven and earth, and will rule in heaven and earth.
Yeah.
So a lot of neat things, especially recently as we just celebrate what's ahead for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I know I've really enjoyed, there's a lot of different sections I really enjoy getting to study. I always love the 7 letters to the churches at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really good because, and I don't know if that's because that's maybe the easier part to understand because that's seems to be the most in common with the rest of the New Testament writing. It's epistles to churches, so I like that aspect of it. But I think that serves as such a good foundation and just for me a reminder that as abstract and as complex as Revelation can get, its purpose was to be an encouragement to these churches,
right,
as they were facing really serious persecution, as they were living under an authoritative empire that they had to be subject to, whether they wanted to or not. That this letter is hope to them. Like, hey, you may live in a kingdom, a world now that is full of corruption and injustice and persecution, but a new kingdom is coming where that will no longer be the case. I was doing some reading on Revelation recently, and one thing that was highlighted was how the description we get of the new heaven and earth, the new Jerusalem, is opposite in every way from the Roman Empire at the days. Because like in Rome, it was very much like a caste system. Not everyone was welcome into certain spaces, and in the New Jerusalem, all people are welcome, and that all can come to God, to the ruler, And in Rome, it was very much, if you were born into this class, you lived in this class, and you died in this class. And so how it kind of is a flip of what they would have known there, or how no corruption, the Roman government, if you studied history, had a lot of corruption, like a lot of governments do, and all that is gone away with now. And the virtues of heaven are the things of God and things of Christ, not greed or corruption or war or violence that you see in the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So it really was this vision of hope to these people. And I think that's why it can still be a vision for us today.
Yeah.
We don't live in Rome. We don't live under a Caesar or an emperor, but we do know what it's like just to live in a fallen world, in a fallen nation, a fallen country, in fallen cities. Like, we all experience the consequences of that. And that message of hope remains relevant to us, just as it was relevant to the first century hearers of this word.
Yeah. And very practical messages too, as we live in this fallen, broken world. They, like you said, they were going through some hard times, but the message was very consistent. It's like, hang in there.
Yeah.
Be faithful. Don't compromise with the worldly values and structures and pressures that are being put upon you.
Yeah.
Don't forsake your first love.
Yeah.
Don't get drug into false teaching.
Yeah.
Don't participate in sexual immorality. I mean, it's a message that in the midst of all of the pressures, that you need to hang in there and put God first, lean into Him completely, love Him first and most. He will be with you. He'll be for you.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's going to be worth it. And I think that's a reminder to all of us that no matter how hard it gets, we have this sustaining hope, like you said, that really this vision of our future can get us through anything we have to go through on this side in this broken world.
Yeah, I mean, I think of how many times in the last chapter that we read Sunday that Jesus says, I'm coming soon, like I will be there soon. And that those who want righteousness come, those who hunger and thirst come. Like, come to me, I'm coming to you. Like, this is happening, and as I'm thinking about this, my mind is going to the story of Abraham and, the promise that God gives Abraham of a son, right? Mm-hmm. And I got to think, because that God makes that initial promise, and Abraham has to wait not a short period of time. I think it's multiple years, if I remember correctly. He has to wait to receive Isaac. But I was teaching the college class a couple weeks ago, and that's the passage we're looking at. That's why this is on my mind. And we were looking at a passage, and God's made this promise to Abraham, you'll have a son. And then you get the whole thing. Abraham laughs, and he kind of gets corrected on that. And then the next passage is when these three visitors come to visit Abraham, one seemingly the Lord, maybe the other two angels. And he says, you will have a son within a year. And I think I was just reflecting on what a blessing for God to give, like, this is coming soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before you've known this is coming, and now it's coming soon. Yeah. So I think, like in Revelation, hey, the Lord is coming soon. And that is just, I think, a reminder for me, even though I don't have like a calendar to cross off dates, like he's not just sitting in heaven twiddling his thumbs, like everything is perfect in his timing, and he will come when the time is right. And like you've talked about before, the way God seems to understand time or live outside of time is different than we as physical beings. I think is it in 1st, 2nd Peter, where he talks about a day for the Lord is like 1,000 years for us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think that's very good. Yeah. Very good assessment. And I love how we have those invitations throughout Revelation. Yeah. And again, at the end, like, it's going to be worth it for you to hang in there and to stay faithful and obedient no matter what the cost, because this reward is so rich and it is coming soon. Yeah. And he wants us to live with this urgent expectancy of his return, because, we're told repeatedly time is short. Yeah. And there's work to do, and the work is to share the gospel with as many people as we can, to be the light. The darker the world gets, the brighter the light shines. Yeah, that's our calling.
I'm wondering, it's got me thinking. The darker the world gets, as I get older, and I'm 32 now. And
goodness gracious.
Ripe old age of 32. I know. As I get older, I feel like the world just continues to get darker and just more evil and wickedness. And I wonder, is that just because I'm just now 32 and this is kind of in some ways new to me? Like, from your perspective, do you feel like we're living in a darker time than when you were like in your 30s, or you're just like, this, get used to it, Garrett, this is just the world we live in? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah. I've always kind of felt like we're sliding in the wrong direction. Yeah. And, again, some of the explanation of that might be what Revelation teaches, is that as the closer we get to the end, the end of the end times, the harder and more tribulation will be coming. And so perhaps that's the case. Perhaps it's like you, maybe it's just the stage of life I'm in.
Yeah. There's no telling.
But I definitely don't see it. I don't see it getting better. Yeah. I see it getting worse. And, but with that comes great spiritual opportunity.
Yeah. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few, as the scriptures say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think as I've been reflecting on Revelation, I've found myself in this tension of longing for heaven, longing for this new Jerusalem, but also not using that as a excuse to check out from the world I'm in. You know what I mean? Because I think that could be a unhelpful takeaway from this, is like, well, it's going to get worse, things get worse, but I know Jesus is coming, so I don't have to do anything in the meantime to help people or to try to make things better in my own sphere of influence. I think, we do recognize the world is lost, and Christ still has us here for a reason as well, as the church. He hasn't withdrawn us from this yet. So I think as long as we're here, we live with that hope for the future, but we also work and serve in the here and now, knowing we can impact eternity for our friends, our neighbors, our family members. Like, we have a role to play in all of this still. It's not just sitting and waiting for Jesus to show up.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think we're supposed to be in a defensive posture. We're supposed to be in an offensive posture, which is just meaning we need to be aggressively sharing truth, hope, life, living life with those around us in a way that influences them for the gospel, rather than just trying to survive and get to the end.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that you see in all of the scriptures. They lived radically bold lives with this hope sustaining them, that even if they die, it's just a ticket to glory, you know? And so.
You know, I was thinking, this gets me excited for where we're heading down the road. You know, on Wednesday nights, we've been doing the Practicing the Way studies, looking at the different spiritual practices. And I know before too long, we'll get to the practice of witness, which I'm really excited about. And I've been kind of looking ahead and previewing some of the materials for that. And I think it's going to be really empowering for our church and for our people. Because I think the way I grew up hearing about evangelism and witnessing is very much the, like, if you were to die tonight, do you know if you go to heaven or hell? Like that type of witnessing, which not saying there's never a place for that. But I think that can be very, one, intimidating for believers. And two, I think when it's not done wisely, it can kind of condense our faith down to like a sales pitch. You know what I mean? And I think people you're talking to can sense that, like, oh, you don't really care about me. You're just trying to, you know, do this thing that you were told to do. So they really use the approach of relational evangelism, which is something I've really come to appreciate and adopt as I've studied more in Scripture. And I think you see a lot of in Scripture this idea of just inviting people into your life, being hospitable to them, like inviting them to your home, just being a blessing to them and their family, and then trusting God to give opportunities for more explicit gospel conversations. You know, I think that's, in the world we live in, that's a really impactful way to share our faith. It doesn't have to be this in your face, over the top, turn or burn mentality, but it's like, we love you, God loves you, and we want to invite you into this community where you can experience His love and know Him. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly, to me, where we need to place our focus. And that's one thing that maybe will help us overcome our fear of evangelism, if you will. I think it should be built around a close friendship, a relationship, most of the time. I mean, there are opportunities where you may be sharing the gospel with a complete stranger, but most of the time it's people that know you and that you know and that you've invited into your life, and you're trying to be friends, you're trying to serve them. Just be the light. And in the midst of that, like you said, those gospel conversations, I think that's the key, is that we're not just being good friends, we're being good friends who know Jesus as the greatest friend there is. And He's beyond that. He's the Lord. And then helping connect those Him to our relationships is the way to do it. And it can be, I think, with some intentionality and some prayer, and you know, I think this can be a very organic thing where it's not forced.
I agree.
And we don't feel inauthentic, which is one of the things you said. We feel like salespeople if we're kind of doing the old approach to evangelism. So if we can get there and those gospel conversations start happening among our friends and family members and work associates, and if that happens with a variety of several families in our church, and individuals start doing that, it starts multiplying. And then you start having guests show up at your church. And you start having people that are not believers showing up at your church, and they're hearing more and they're learning more, and they're going to Bible studies, and they're seeing community and how these people are really different and love each other, and they're being served it's very contagious.
Yes.
And I think that's when we'll start seeing opportunities seeing people get saved and more baptisms and more people are coming to church.
Yeah.
It's all kind of goes together.
Yeah. I mean, I think of the early church in Acts. It talks about, they would add such and such to their number each day, and they were living together, sharing everything. And again, that community they had was a stark contrast to the culture they were living in, where everything was much merit-based and, we don't associate with these people because they're of this class. The church was a harbor for all people to come to. Yeah. And, I mean, that is appealing when people live in a world that says you don't fit in, you're not welcome, you're not enough. Like, to find a community that's like welcoming you as you are, warts and all, that doesn't say, well, you need to get this right before you come here. Like, man, that is powerful. Everyone's looking for community and connection, And I think that's one of the most appealing things we can offer up about Christ and our faith is like, hey, you are welcome. Christ wants to enter your life and transform your life and save you, and that starts with community and just being hospitable to people. I mean, I think some of the most intentional connections I've had with other people has been over meals, and not even like fancy meals, just like sitting down, sharing food together. Like, I know I fall victim to the fallacy that, like, if I'm going to have someone over to my house has to be perfectly pristine. You know what I mean? Like, everything has to be in its right spot. There can't be any loose papers or anything, or the food has to be restaurant quality, And I wonder, sometimes I use that as a self-destructive excuse to not host people, to be like, I can't have anybody. I can't cook something good. I don't have time for that, or the house is a mess. But I think really the opposite is true, that when we invite people in and they see that we are our authentic selves, we have just as much dirty laundry, physically and metaphorically, I guess, as they do. Like, that's where those walls can be broken down. That hospitality doesn't have to be performative, and I think it's most effective when it's not performative. Yeah.
No, I agree. It's just loving people. And certainly loving God. And then we connect those together. We love God by loving people. And it's, it can be, again, I think our world is, our culture, I think, is losing. I know for me, it's not a natural thing for me to think about, I can invite my neighbors over for dinner. But I think it needs to become more of a natural thing. This is where God's placed me. I see these people. We pass each other walking around the neighborhood. Let's try to take it to the next level. And it's neat. You mentioned the Practicing the Way seminars. That's coming. In the fall, we'll do the seminar or the discipleship study on witnessing, relational evangelism. We'll talk about a neighborhood approach. Get some handholds and some training and some people that are out in front trying to live it and learn together. But then we follow that up with a discipleship Practicing the Way course on service and on community. So it all kind of ties together. I think we can all get better equipped to kind of move outward. And I think that's one thing Revelation is teaching us. We need to, time is short. Let's move out and invite, especially those that are on the fringe or who are lost. This is a matter of life and death that's being communicated here. And so, I love that invitation at the end, those who are thirsty, come and drink from the river of life, the water of life. It's available. God, even at the very end, is still offering that invitation. And sometimes he expects us to be his hands and feet and his mouth. And share that.
That makes me think of the woman at the well that Jesus encounters, right? Who, drink from this well and you'll never thirst again. And a woman who we know culturally and contextually was probably an outcast in her culture. It's probably why she was going to the well at the middle of the day, at the hottest part of the day, because no one else would do that. Right. She was probably hoping not to see anybody at that well. But Jesus meeting someone who is hurting where they are and having a conversation with them and just, so much of, I love reading the Gospels because so much of Jesus' interactions he's asking more questions, I feel like, than he's talking a lot of times. Like people come to him and they'll ask a question and he'll follow it up with another question. Like you can tell he's very curious about people in a way, like, I want to know this. Like he knows them as God, but like, I want to engage this person. I want to bring them in to this conversation. And the one-on-one. And he would preach to the crowds, but usually in these smaller interactions, you see it's more of a dialogue and less him just spouting a track to somebody. One of my favorite passages in the New Testament, and I actually had a missions professor use this as a foundation for relational evangelism. It's after Jesus has died and been resurrected, there's, I think, 2 or 3 of his followers who are traveling, I think, to Emmaus, maybe on the road to Emmaus, and they're like, yeah, Jesus died. Don't know what that was about, because they were like following him and they hadn't got the word yet that he's been resurrected. So Jesus appears to them and they don't recognize him at first, and they're just walking, and it says, and Jesus traveled with them. Like in that moment, he wasn't like, hello, it's me. He like traveled with them where they were going, and then he asked them questions, or they asked questions. They talked about the scriptures, and he's like, well, let's sit down and have a meal and I can walk you through these scriptures, what the prophets say. Like he took his time with these people and he engaged them. He shared relevant truth with them. He answered the questions they were asking. And I think that's a beautiful picture of evangelism, is like, I'm going to meet people where they are. I'm going to answer the questions they're asking. What is relevant about scripture that I can speak to this person right now that can impact their life? And then I'm going to take it at their pace. Like when they stop asking questions, he just kind of stops and lets them continue on. Like he wasn't in any way aggressive or berating to them for not recognizing him. He just met them where they were and engaged in genuine dialogue with them. And I think the times I've had the most impact for spiritual conversations is when it's felt like a dialogue with another person, not like someone has come with all their talking points and they're going to say, they already know what they're going to say in their head before I share anything. Yeah. I think we all know what it's like to be in a conversation with someone and realize they're not really listening to anything that you're saying.
Well, I think that is a great story. And it does highlight the relational heart of Jesus. It highlights the value of hospitality. I mean, the two invited him to the meal with them. And but in the end, it was a gospel conversation that inspired them, changed their lives. So
it'd be interesting to do a short topical series on like the significance of different meals in the Bible, like conversations or interactions that happen centered around food in Scripture. That would be an interesting something to look at. Anyway,
it's definitely, it transcends all. Seems like all eras and cultures. Food is a connecting.
Everyone loves good food.
It is a connection to life, to deeper relationships.
Because you have that moment, obviously the Lord's Supper. You have when they're eating fish on the shore after Jesus has come back. That would be, I may need to, there may be something brewing there for future use. Well, so Revelation, we're wrapping it up. You're going to have one more sermon this Sunday, kind of big takeaways, observations for us as a church. What can people expect after this? What's after Revelation for us?
Well, we will finish just in time for Palm Sunday. That was by design. And so we'll have our like the church worldwide, we'll celebrate Palm Sunday, and then we'll celebrate Passion Week. This year we have, again, the Monday, Thursday Passover meal.
That's something that
yeah.
people want to be at, because
Yeah.
if you weren't there last year, that was probably a highlight of the year for me to get to partake in that.
It's a neat.
Yeah.
And we already have 52 people signed up.
Yeah.
So
and that for Calvary, people sign up early. That's a big deal.
Yeah. So go ahead and get signed up.
Yeah.
But then after that, we'll have Easter Sunday. It will be always a highlight of the year, Resurrection Sunday. Bring a friend. We've talked about that as staff. We really want every church member to invite at least somebody. Yeah. At least one person. That's one little step we can all take. Yeah. And then beyond that, I'm looking at several possibilities. At some point soon, I do want to do a study of 1 Peter. Kind of connects, I think, to Revelation. Yeah. Maybe do some character analysis of Peter woven into a study of the book. We've got about 12 weeks between Easter Sunday and the Next Gen series that'll come in the middle of the summer. Yeah. So that's a possibility. I might also considering maybe revisiting our discipleship vision in the Disciples Cross, and that could easily be a 12-week series to revisit some of these core foundational things that we all should be doing to grow as disciples. So I better figure it out soon, but I think I will. Just I've got those things I'm praying about right now.
So if we do the Disciples Cross, that sounds like a rare topical series from Scott Jackson.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I think I've landed on the Next Gen series. I've been spending time really thinking about that, and I think we're going to look at the book of Jude in the New Testament.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's just one chapter. It's like 30, 40 verses. So I think that could be a fun little book to spend 4 weeks in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot to dive into there. So I'm doing some beginning of breaking that up right now, but I'm looking forward to Jude. I think that'll be fun.
Can't go wrong.
That's right.
With a good slow down, just verse by verse study.
Yeah, and there's some really interesting passages in Jude as I've been reading it. The type of passages you read and you're like, okay, and you just keep going and don't think about it too much. So I'm excited about that series coming up. I always look forward to that series and getting to pick something. I like the tradition we're getting in of picking one maybe small book and really just diving deep into it for 4 weeks. Because going through Jonah last year, I had a blast doing that. So
that was an excellent study.
Yeah.
So and I think I love the Next Gen series. We get to hear from some younger communicators, say younger than me. And some new perspectives. I like, that you put that together for us. So I'll be there.
All right.
Ready and waiting. And beyond that, at some point, I want to do a series on David. Yeah. The life of David. And then weave in some of his Psalms in the midst of that. So that's kind of what I think if we're looking next year, probably the fall, that's what I'm leaning towards. But before you do anything, we have to pray and just really seek the Lord and let him confirm his will. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Scott, thank you for sitting down with us again today. Next week, it won't be me and Scott here, with it being spring break. We're actually going to be putting out an episode that I had a conversation with Cody Long. You probably remember Cody Long. He's on mission in Germany right now, has been there for several months. It'll be 11 months in total. I had a chance to talk with him recently, and we're going to release that as a podcast episode, just kind of get an update from him and hear how he's doing over there in Germany. Yeah. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Yeah. Got to pray for our missionaries on the front lines. Absolutely. Absolutely. They're doing it. Yeah. And we talk about relational evangelism. Cody's probably one of the most gifted ones. Cody's a rock star that I've seen. So we can learn a lot from Cody. As happy as I am that he's serving the Lord in Germany, I'm also very excited for when he'll come back and get to continue to serve the Lord here at Calvary alongside us, because he does a great job with the college students, which he really has a heart for, and which is what he's doing in Germany right now. Well, Scott, thank you for sitting down with us, and I'm looking forward to this Sunday. All right. Thank you.